after he disappeared in 1985. However, Lebanese police say they have no information to support that claim. For the first time in 26 years, former hostage Edward Tracy will wake up this morning in his homeland. The 60-year-old Tracy, who was released Sunday after being held hostage in Lebanon for 5 years, arrived in Massachusetts yesterday. Accompanied by his daughters, he was greeted by the patriotic sounds of "You're a Grand Old Flag." Tracy was taken to Veterans Administration Medical Center in Boston for further physical and psychological tests. Researchers say AIDS eventually will reverse Africa's population explosion. A study in the latest issue of Nature magazine says AIDS is spreading so fast across the continent, it will result in a net population loss within a few decades. Researchers in Boston may have made a breakthrough in the study of Alzheimer's disease. Doctors at Harvard Medical School were able to prevent degenerative effects of the disease in rats. The rats were treated with a nerve protein called substance P. But researchers say they don't know if the results would be similar on humans. Alzheimer's patients generally have low levels of the natural chemical. A new study is reporting that may have thought true for ages. Eating right and exercise could be the keys to good health. Don Knapp has more.
Yeah.
It seemed to make sense. Regular exercise added to a healthy diet would improve cholesterol levels and therefore reduce the risk of heart disease. Now a Stanford University study confirms it.
And our hypothesis was that if these people would also take regular exercise, then the effect on their HDL and perhaps their general risk of heart disease would be further improved.
Dr. Peter Wood's team showed that while diet alone reduced the risk of heart disease in men 22%, diet plus exercise reduced risk 37%. Women also benefited from combining exercise with a diet of low fat and limited cholesterol. Diet alone reduced their risk of heart disease 8%. But with exercise, women's risk dropped 31%. Medical researchers say a key indicator of risk is the level of high-density lipoproteins, HDL, in the blood. More HDL is better, they say, as it seems to prevent cholesterol from building up on the lining of arteries. But the idea is not yet widely accepted by the medical establishment. This brochure on high blood cholesterol, issued by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, does not mention exercise.
It's an excellent publication, and it does start early on by saying that if people have cholesterol problems, the first thing to do is to treat them with diet.
But Dr. Basil Rifkin of the National Institutes of Health says the agency is not yet ready to recommend exercise to improve cholesterol.
What we really need to know is whether raising HDL through exercise or by some other means actually reduces the rate of heart attack. And that's not been convincingly established.
It also has not been established whether people can stick to exercising 3 times a week, as participants did in the Stanford University study. Beth Kane says just being part of the study group helped her.
Let me put it this way. If we didn't have the group for the exercise, I think we would have all been back on our couches.
Several of the study participants who had never exercised regularly before are now regular runners. Don Knapp, CNN, Stanford University, California.
Anti-abortion activists in Wichita, Kansas want a federal judge to order all children be kept away from abortion clinics, including young patients. Operation Rescue was responding to Judge Patrick Kelly's criticism of the group's use of children in its demonstrations. Yesterday, Judge Kelly sentenced a demonstrator to 4 months in jail for blocking a clinic entrance, but he later lifted the sentence. Investigators are trying to match an alleged serial killer's claims with police records in 17 states. 34-year-old Donald DeRoy Evans says he has killed more than 60 people nationwide since 1977. Sunday, Evans led investigators in Mississippi to the body of a 10-year-old homeless girl he has admitted to kidnapping, raping, and killing. Authorities call Evans rational, but they say they know little else about him.
He had no permission to be out of the state of Texas. The only information that we have as far as his family is that he has a father in the state of Florida, but information as far as where he went to school and things of that nature is very sketchy because we have never received that information on him. Then again, since he has used an alias name, it's possible that it might not be true.
The U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI are forming a task force to investigate Evans's claims. In Wisconsin, Milwaukee County officials have suspended a janitor who they say admits to copying police reports on accused serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Information from the reports, including a psychological analysis, was published in the New York Times earlier this month. Meanwhile, flyers reading "Free Dahmer" have appeared in Portland, Oregon. The flyers say Dahmer, who has confessed to 17 murders, should be freed because he only killed homosexuals. Authorities in 2 states are investigating an Alabama nurse. They're looking into what they call the suspicious deaths of patients in 2 hospitals where the nurse worked. Al Hinman reports.
The death of a Birmingham man 5 months ago at Cooper Green Hospital appeared to be just another cardiac arrest, another code blue. His heart stopped beating and he died. But now Robert Price's death is front-page news. However, Birmingham police say they suspected foul play almost from the beginning.
We are investigating a suspicious death at this time. The suspect we're looking at is a male nurse. He worked here at Cooper Green Hospital for approximately a 2-week period.
That nurse, who police will not identify until charged with a crime, came to Cooper Green Hospital earlier this year from Atlanta, where he worked at North Fulton Regional Hospital for 6 months. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is investigating 8 cases of cardiac arrest at North Fulton, code blues similar to the Birmingham incident. The hospital's administrator, Frederick Bailey, says only 5 of those patients died and says there is no evidence the deaths were caused by any common cause or individual nurse. However, an Atlanta area woman sued another Atlanta hospital last year, naming the same male nurse suspected in the Birmingham and Atlanta deaths for allegedly trying to kill her with an injection designed to stop her heart.
And he inserted it into the INT, and as soon as it started going up in my vein, it just like it exploded. My heart and my head just exploded, and I started screaming at him that he killed me.
Bambi Plumley lived, and her suit against the hospital was settled earlier this year for $750,000. The attorney for the family of the dead Birmingham patient says he's ready now to file a major civil suit, while authorities in Georgia and Alabama search for answers, wondering if they'll find even more patients who died under suspicious circumstances. Al Hinman, CNN, in Birmingham, Alabama.
A high-speed trip to the emergency room has landed a San Francisco father in trouble with the law. John Hall was rushing his wife, who was in labor, to the hospital yesterday. Her water broke on the way, and their 2-year-old son, who had been ill, stopped breathing. The couple says that's when they sped up and refused to stop for police.
And I tried to get him out of the car seat, but it hurt so much I couldn't sit up to do that. I mean, I was just, holding on that bar over the window, going, breathe. Breathing doesn't help.
I did right, as far as I'm concerned, and I would do it again. I did right by saving my family.
Mr. Hall was cited for speeding, but authorities say he may face further charges. Mrs. Hall and her newborn daughter are hospitalized. The 2-year-old is fine. Doctors in Baltimore have successfully performed a rare procedure in hopes of delivering healthy triplets. They delivered one baby girl on July 26th when the mother went into labor 13 weeks prematurely. They then delayed the births of the other 2 so they'd develop further. Hospital officials say the 2nd and 3rd babies were born last Friday. All 3 are said to be doing well. It's a bit ironic that the woman who leads the Cherokee Indian Nation is named Mankiller. Yesterday, Wilma Mankiller began a 2nd term as chief. Tony Clark has her story.
For the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, it was a day of celebration, the inauguration of the principal chief of the 122,000-member Indian tribe.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Wilma Mankiller's election to a 2nd full term as chief is not only a political victory, but a personal one as well. Because unlike her earlier races, during this election, being a woman didn't matter.
They looked in 1991 at what was going on, what my plans were, and what I had done, and didn't look at that within the context of my being a female, but just looked, they were more interested in competence than the issue of gender.
1987, she became the first woman to be elected chief of a major tribe.
When I was younger, I was so angry at so much injustice that I saw with my own people that I expressed that and expressed that sort of sense of wanting to do something in a different way. And as I've gotten older, I think that that anger is gone, and I try to focus more on the positive things.
Mankiller's emphasis these days is on improving Indian education, setting up clinics, using taxes on tobacco products to fund social programs, and bring jobs to the area.
She has been a role model not only for Native Americans, but for women who are taking leadership roles in this country.
She's done a good job, and she seems to keep improving the tribe.
Mankiller's office wall is covered with plaques and citations honoring her work. Yet the thing that seems to please her most is that she's shown that ideas and leadership are more important than gender.
The name Mankiller comes from the old Cherokee title given to generals in the tribe's military.
So it is perhaps appropriate that the tribe's principal chief's name is Mankiller, for she is the general leading the Cherokee Nation toward the 21st century. Tony Clark, CNN, Tahlequah, Oklahoma.
We'll be back in a moment with Headline Consumer News.
This is CNN Headline News.
Why is Mommy home?
It's her day off.
Your rich roasted Maxwell has coffee.
Oh, I don't believe you.
A newspaper? Medicals.
Headline News is on.
U.S. meat bred on hormones.
I am having a great day. I'm drinking my Maxwell House, watching TBS.
Start your day informed, entertained, and awake. Enjoy rich roasted Maxwell House coffee and TBS.
April in Paris.
He spoke English like I spoke French, but somehow we talked for hours over coffee. Coffee so rich, I thought I'd never taste its like again.
Discover the deep, rich flavor of Maxwell House Rich French Roast.
Encore un café?
What?
More coffee?
Oui.
Maxwell House Rich French Roast, blended with Colombian beans because better beans make better coffee.
Across the country, it's the talk of the town. Folks disappear and things shut down. When Oprah's on, come on, Oprah's on. People take fire and tongues stop flapping. Mamas take breaks and babies start napping. Oprah's on, she's stealing the show. Oprah's on, guys, we gotta go. No one's around, where's everybody gone? Get tuned in.
Get tuned in to the Oprah Winfrey Show. Don't miss a day of America's favorite talk show.
Oprah's on.
She was sympathetic. My gynecologist said she'd been through it and the irritation could be intense. You couldn't cure a recurrent vaginal yeast infection fast enough. She said a woman should first see a doctor for an initial diagnosis. After that, with gynolotrimine, you can cure yourself. It's available full prescription strength without a prescription. She said it would bring me early treatment and early cure. Gynolotrimine, my gynecologist's cure, and mine.
Did you know that you can send beautiful flowers like these anytime, anywhere to anyone by calling one phone number? The number is 1-800-FLOWERS because now more than 10,000 of America's finest florists have the same telephone number, 1-800-FLOWERS. All you need is a telephone and a major credit card. Just pick up the phone and call 1-800-FLOWERS. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, toll free. 1-800-FLOWERS. We're the 24-hour worldwide florist.
McDonald's Corporation may be adding another selection to its dinner menu. It isn't called McPasta, but the fast food chain is testing some pasta dishes. Restaurants in Rochester, New York are offering fettuccine, lasagna, and spaghetti. While McDonald's calls the test very preliminary, the company does admit it's now placing more emphasis on its dinner menu. Are American dairy products safe to eat? A U.S. Department of Agriculture report obtained by the Associated Press is raising some doubts. Auditors discovered unsanitary conditions at 8 out of 25 dairy plants they visited in March of last year. The report says they found mold, rodents, and insects at some plants. The auditors also cited inaction on the part of regular inspectors who had previously visited the sites. Expensive cars, homes, and clothes used to be the trademarks of the so-called jet set, but now experts say it's unfashionable to wear high-priced fashions. Norma Quarles explains.
It's high fashion, haute couture, designer names and labels. For women, it might be Carolyn Rome, or perhaps an Oscar de la Renta suit for $7,000. For men, perhaps a Karl Lagerfeld tuxedo for $1,000. Are people buying up these high-priced goods? This retail analyst says no.
Even the super rich, those people with trust funds, have stopped shopping. And if they're buying half or less than what they bought a year or two ago.
And why is that?
It's just unfashionable to put it on your back. No one wants to look like a walking chandelier anymore.
At Martha's on Park Avenue, there were customers looking at designer outfits.
Beautiful emerald green satin.
We have found here in these past months that our customer is definitely back with us. They may not buy as much. They may not buy as many pieces as they have in the past, but they want that special customer relationship, and they find it with us.
And what about designer suits for men? The imported fabrics, the prices that start at $600.
The designer men's business, those $2,000 suits for those hotshots from Wall Street making $250,000, that business has really been suffering.
Bert Hand says while business has been terrible for the past 4 quarters, he is beginning to see a ray of hope.
We're taking advance orders now for manufacture and delivery in November and December, January and February. And at this point, we're experiencing an increase in units at the rate of about 4.5% to 5% in all of our better divisions.
And when it comes to designer children's wear,
the kids' wear business, which is about $20 billion at retail, is now really in the hands of the discounters, the Walmarts and the Targets and the Ventures and the Kmarts. They own the lion's share of the business today.
there seems to be little doubt that the upscale end of the fashion industry, whether for men, women, or children, has felt the effects of the recession. But everyone is ready to believe that a recovery is just around the corner.
In any field, quality sells. The best painting always sells. The best jewels always sell. The best clothes always sell.
Norma Quarles, CNN, New York.
A late round of computer trading drove the stock market lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost more than 3 points yesterday to close at 3,005. Scores and more next in CNN Headline Sports.
This is CNN Headline News.
Remember summer vacations when you didn't have to worry about money? Days Inn remembers. Now through Labor Day, we have rooms for good old-fashioned rates as low as $29 at participating locations. And kids 12 and under stay free. So when your vacation includes Days Inn, it's a beautiful morning. You're gonna like waking up to us. I think I'll go outside and just smile.
When the wedding march becomes your favorite song, we're going to talk to those people who marry again and again and again. That's today on CERN Live, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, only on CNN.
America's #1 self-help bestseller. It's the owner's manual for the human mind. Get your copy today at B. Dalton Bookseller.
I always carry my Lanier Pocket Protégé so I can record my ideas anywhere. Because I get some of my best ideas in showers.
Call 1-800-241-1706.
Two foursomes can use Lanier's new digital dictation system, so you can save your company over $15,000 a year in executive time. That's a lot of golf balls.
But it doesn't cost a lot of golf balls.
She was sympathetic. My gynecologist said she'd been through it and the irritation could be intense. You couldn't cure a recurrent vaginal yeast infection fast enough. She said a woman should first see a doctor for an initial diagnosis. After that, with gyne-lotrimin, you can cure yourself. It's available full prescription strength without a prescription. She said it would bring me early treatment and early cure. Gyne-lotrimin, my gynecologist's cure, and mine.
In just a few brief hours of playtime, a
young body can use up lots of vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin B6, and valuable potassium. All of which, as nature would have it, can be replaced by eating one Chiquita banana. It's the ideal way to nourish an imagination. Chiquita, quite possibly the world's perfect food.
Friday night on TBS, a man of mystery, a town of dark secrets. Clint Eastwood. High Plains Drifter. Friday night at 8:05 Eastern on TBS.
This is Ron Hyde, CNN Headline Sports. Seattle's Randy Johnson made a bid for his second career no-hitter on Wednesday night, but came up just short. With none out in the ninth, the A's' Mike Gallego lined a sharp single to left field, breaking up the no-no. Johnson held on for a one-hitter, striking out 12 and getting Jose Canseco swinging for the final out in Seattle's 4-0 win. Seattle's only 6.5 out in the West because the Twins lost at home to California. Twin Cities native Dave Winfield ripped the 400th homer of his career in his hometown. The Angels won it 7-4. The White Sox inched to within a game and a half of the Twins. Mike Huff's 2-run, 2-out double in the 8th inning made the difference in Chicago's 9-8 victory at Detroit. The Royals are now just 6.5 back in the up-for-grabs West. Danny Tartable's 11th inning grand slam gave Kansas City its 4th in a row, 5-1 over the Yanks. Boston moved to within 5.5 of Toronto in the East, down in Cleveland. Baltimore's Mike Mussina won his first Major League game, and the East-leading Jays dropped their 7th in a row. National League tough luck pitcher Tim Belcher improved to 8-7. Gary Carter, Darryl Strawberry, and Brett Butler drove in runs with singles as West-leading L.A. defeated Cincinnati by a 4-1 score. The Dodgers lead second-place Atlanta by a game and a half as the Giants dumped the Braves 8-3. Kevin Mitchell connected for a 2-run shot, his 23rd. The Pittsburgh Pirates are proud owners of a baseball franchise by the name of the Philadelphia Phillies. The Bucks beat the Phils for the 14th straight time. Bonds and Bonilla RBI doubles. John Smiley won his 14th in the 5-3 final. Elsewhere, Montreal's Brian Barnes blanks Chicago. St. Louis sent New York to its 6th straight loss. And San Diego dumped Houston. Fred McGriff hit his 2nd grand slam in 2 games. Ron Hyde, CNN Headline Sports.
This is CNN Headline News.
Don't move. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Because children can find trouble anywhere. Protect them with Windmere Guardian. Personal care appliances with ESP, electric shock protection. Technology that shuts off an appliance at the source of electricity when a shock hazard is detected. So if you want to protect your children, even when you can't watch them, get Windmere Guardian with ESP, electric shock protection. Now at a store near you.
Best Western always welcomes me wherever I might roam, reflecting the pride of the cities they call home. Best Western, it's not the same old place. Best Western, for my individual taste. Oh, Best Western.
Best Western, as individual as America itself.
The woman who almost made the Queen lose her cool in May is planning a trip to the monarch's homeland. Alice Fraser broke royal protocol during Queen Elizabeth II's visit to the U.S. by hugging Her Majesty as she visited Mrs. Fraser's home. Now, Mrs. Fraser is planning a trip to London in November, but it's doubtful she'll get her hug returned. Well, it's a whale of a baby boom at the New York Aquarium. A beluga whale calf was born yesterday at the Marine Museum on Coney Island. It weighed in at 185 pounds, and it was 6 feet long. Another beluga baby arrived a week ago. A 20-year-old whale named Newfie is the father of both newborns by different mothers. Only 31 beluga whales exist in captivity. Zoo visitors in Philadelphia are mourning Bung, the orangutan. The 35-year-old ape was put to sleep Tuesday after doctors discovered he had inoperable cancer. Bung also had diabetes and had been taught to give himself insulin shots. He was a favorite at the Philadelphia Zoo for almost 30 years. Zoo officials say Bung loved to watch television, and his favorite show was Wheel of Fortune. Well, the Babysitters Club may be even more popular with pre-teenage girls than New Kids on the Block. And Sherry Dean reports the books are on their way to the small screen.
Babysitters Club, that's what we call ourselves. We meet 3 times a week and we do all sorts of stuff like babysit and throw parties for little ones.
If you've never heard of the Babysitters Club, then you obviously don't know a pre-teenaged girl. The Babysitters Club started out as a series of books, but its phenomenal success has spawned all kinds of merchandise, a spin-off series of books called Babysitter's Little Sister for younger girls, and a video series which HBO has picked up as a mini-series for the fall.
I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Babysitters Club.
Scholastic Publishing puts out a new book monthly. To date, there are 46 Babysitters Club books out. Each one is a nationwide bestseller with 46 million books in print.
They're about real girls, real lives, real kinds of families and towns.
The story ideas come from all over the place, listening to the news, trying to keep up with what kids today are experiencing.
Some girls identify so closely with the books and the characters that they've actually gone out and formed their own real-life babysitters clubs.
Every week, a group of 6 pre-teenaged girls meets at the Palm Shore Cabana Club in Brooklyn, where the girls spend their days babysitting. All are big fans of the books.
It's like what we do, we babysit and everything, and it's like they have experiences that are fun. They tell about the babies, they tell about us, and they're interesting. You're like one of the characters in the book. And, you know, you just get a feeling like you could just jump into the book and you could just, the way they're talking, you could talk like that, you know.
The girls, our readers, had such definite expectations with respect to these characters' physical characteristics as well as their behavior. And we ended up with the first 2 shows that we did having to see over 500 girls to cast 7 parts.
Scholastic plans to continue the videos as well as the books. Sherry Dean, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
And finally, spectators in Galveston, Texas got a real eyeful last weekend. While gathered around to watch some bungee jumping, they witnessed an unusual full moon. A 32-year-old man dropped his trunks, allegedly on purpose, while dangling from a bungee cord. He was issued a citation for disorderly conduct. His specific offense? Bungee mooning. A complete update of the day's news is just 2 minutes away. I'm Gordon Graham. Around the world in 30 minutes, this is CNN Headline News.
This is CNN Headline News.